Hey everybody, in this lesson we are going to be looking at event-dependent switches. Before we program them, you need to understand when to use them and how they are useful. So an event-dependent switch is used when the player must do an event at a first location before an event in a different second location is activated. So let's look at a quick example here. So one of our examples is this one here. So my second location is actually the door. I am going to make it so that my first location, which is talking to my dad, has to happen before I'm allowed outside. So you'll notice here that if I go up to the door, my second location, it says you should probably talk to your dad before heading out for the day. So I have to talk to my dad, who says, "Good morning, Natalie. You should probably go and find your mother. She went outside," before I'm allowed outside. So you'll notice here that at my second location, it now actually lets me outside. So here is a second example. So in this example, what you're going to notice is my second location is this chest off to the right here. I want to make it so I have to find a key for it in order to open its contents. So if I go to this place first, the chest says it looks like you need a key to open this chest. So the first event is going to be finding the key. So the key happens to be outside under these mushrooms. So if I go to this first event, it says you see a set of keys under these mushrooms and wonder if it has anything to do with the chest. And now if I go back to the chest, the second location is now activated. And what it will say is you open up the chest and see a sword and shield and you decide to take them. So that is the idea of event-dependent switches. Now we're going to look at how these were actually programmed. Let's look at the first example. So in the first example, my first location was talking to my dad. So as you can see over here, this is really critical that you have this slide open, is on the first page, under contents, first of all, create the event and turn the switch on. So you'll notice that on my dad, what I've done is created the event, which is him saying, "Good morning, Natalie, you should probably go and find your mother. She went outside." But then turning on a switch called Talk to Dad. Okay, and what you'll notice here is event-dependent switches need a meaningful name, and I'll show you how to create those a little bit later. So that's that first one. Now at the second location, what you're going to notice, so the focus in this particular case for location 2 happens to be this part of the slide here. What you're going to notice at location 2, which is in my case the door, is first of all that it has 2 pages. So what it says is that page 1, under contents, you create what happens if the player didn't go to the first location. So you'll notice on page 1, what I've done is made a text that just says you should probably talk to your dad before heading out for the day. Now what I have is on page 2, under the conditions, I check the switch. So if I go to page 2 here, what you'll notice is you check the switch used at location 1. So if you remember, I used a switch called Talk to Dad. So I checked the switch for the switch that I used at location 1. And finally, under the contents, it says create what happens if the player did go to the first location, which in my case is a transfer player, you'll notice here, to the outside. Okay, in this final example, what I'm going to do is create an event-dependent switch from scratch. What I would like to make happen is that I have to get changed. So here's my wardrobe. I have to get changed before I'm allowed downstairs. So in other words, my first location is getting changed. So let's go ahead and program that. So if I go to my wardrobe, so I'm going to create an event here. What I need to do simply is to first of all create under contents the event. So I'm going to create an event here that says you found your favorite red robe. Okay. What I'm also going to do as an event, I want it to look like I actually got changed, is I'm going to change my actor images. And under actor 1, there's actually one that looks like that image, and it looks like that particular walking character. So I can actually change the way that my character looks. Okay. So I've done that, and then it says I also have to turn a meaningful switch on. So if I double click here, under tab 1, there's something called control switches, and make sure that you name it. This is what I want to call it, is get changed or got changed. So I'm going to click here, give it a meaningful name, I got changed. Okay, and there we go. I am done location 1. So now I need to talk about location 2. So location 2 happens to be me being allowed to go downstairs, because I don't want to be allowed to go downstairs unless I've gotten changed. So what I'm going to do next is go to location 2. You'll notice that currently I'm on page 1, and page 1 says under contents, create what happens if the player didn't go to the first location. So I'm going to make a text that says you need to get changed before going downstairs. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is create page 2, which is what happens if I did get changed. So if I make a new event page, okay, it says check the switch used at location 1 under conditions. So I'm going to go to the conditions and check the one called I got changed, which is the one I created at location 1. And then finally under contents, create what happens if the player did go to the first location. So if I did get changed, in this particular case, what I would like to be able to do is to transfer to the location which is downstairs to this spot here. The final thing you need to do is always play test your game. Okay, so if I try to go downstairs, it says you need to get changed before going downstairs. So that is the second location if I haven't gotten changed. If I do get changed, you found your favorite red robe. You'll notice that I actually have a red robe on now. And in addition, it allows me to go downstairs.